Big Arizona Cardinal updates heading your way. Jonathan Gannon met with the media yesterday and provided us a little insight as to the Marvin Harrison Jr. usage. He also provided us a little update on the injury front when it comes down to the cornerbacks for the Arizona Cardinals defense, as well as what's the game plan heading into week 3 against our division rival in the San Francisco 49ers. All that and so much more. Let's get started. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into another video. Definitely do me a huge favor, smack that like button and subscribe for more Arizona Cardinals content. On this channel, we're covering the Arizona Cardinals news, breaking news, conversational pieces, everything surrounding your favorite team. So subscribe it up. It's absolutely for free. We are going to be doing a giveaway for this Arizona Cardinals Nike rivalry mini helmets. We most likely are going to have to hit 18K before we give this bad boy away. So subscribe it up, ladies and gentlemen. It's absolutely for free. Hit that red button down there. Super easy. Don't be one of these guys that love to hover around. Let's do it. Let's build this community as big as we possibly can. But ladies and gentlemen, let's go and dive right into it. We got a lot to get to. Let's first start off with the injury front when it comes down to what Jonathan Gannon provided the media yesterday, and also double down in the Burns and Gambo show, where he ends up going there every Monday after a game at 3 p.m. And believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, where everybody, and I mean all Cardinal fans right now, are on pins and needles, Jonathan Gannon ended up coming out and providing us basically no update, but kind of an update, right? He wants to go ahead and really kind of figure out within all the tests that are happening with all the cornerbacks that went down this last weekend versus the Panthers in week 2. We ended up having Will Johnson taken out of the game. So originally he was taken out with him being, I guess, the wind knocked out of him. Now, once that happened, he came back in the game, but I believe he actually got a groin injury after that, and then he was held out of the game after that. Now, we did see Garrett Williams get hurt as well in the end zone, and we saw Max Melton get hurt in the first quarter and was not available to come back, right, in the remaining of the game. So a lot of Cardinal fans right now are on pins and needles. And as of right now, Jonathan Gannon said that he's going to be providing an update later on in the week. Now, I'm kind of curious as to why Jonathan Gannon is taking this approach. Now, of course, he has to wait till tests come out and really kind of figure out who are we going to be missing. Now, if I'm going to be, putting my best guesstimation out there, I really do believe that Garrett Williams and maybe Max Melton are going to be the worst out of the bunch. And if I'm going to pick one of the two, I think Garrett Williams might be the worst out of the two. I do think Will Johnson will come back. Is he going to be missing games? Probably. We just don't know exactly how this is going to shake out. But if you really truly think about it, the Arizona Cardinals need to be on top of this, because as of right now, let's say, for example, every single one of these top 3 corners that we have miss one game at least, right? We're going to be rolling with Keitrell Clark, Denzel Burke, and Elijah Jones, which honestly, I mean, I have a lot of high praise for Elijah Jones, but I don't know if I want to throw him out there for 60 minutes when he was an injured reserve all last year. And Denzel Burke, what was it, like a mid-round pick? Keitrell Clark was a, starting cornerback for the Arizona Cardinals in 2023. He lost his job and he was playing special teams from there on out. Now, the guy that I have the most confidence in is probably Keitrell Clark, if I could be real with you, just because we seen a small dosage or sample size of what he looks like as a cornerback, starting cornerback in this defense, and it looks solid, right? It's decent. It's just I don't know how the Cardinals are going to be rolling with this. I really don't. So I really hope that the Cardinals today, Wednesday, Thursday, we're going to start hearing some news that we're going to be working out specific players, like specific cornerbacks that are out there right now. One of my number one targets would be none other than Stephon Gilmore. I feel like the Arizona Cardinals would absolutely benefit from bringing a veteran in this locker room like a Stephon Gilmore. Now, is he the same Stephon Gilmore? No, he's not, right? But as of right now, we're kind of dwindling down with these cornerbacks and these injuries and what's currently happening. So I don't blame Jonathan Gannon for coming out and not providing us an update. Obviously, he wants to make sure that all the tests come back and he's fully aware of what's currently going on. I don't think he's keeping anything in the dark, or I don't think this is one of those things where he's trying to keep it close to the vest, right, to kind of trick Kyle Shanahan in terms of what cornerbacks are going to be out there. No, I don't think that has anything to do with it. I think the tests are still ongoing, and he still does not know what is happening with these three starting cornerbacks for the Arizona Cardinals. But this is a big blow to the Arizona Cardinals cornerback room and secondary because, like I said before, we're left with Keitrell Clark, Denzel Burke, and Elijah Jones, which even if all three of these guys at least miss one game, we need to have more depth outside that. So maybe the Cardinals will be making a move here and there. Fingers crossed that we're going to start hearing some things that the Cardinals are working out specific players. Let's see exactly what happens there. But update on these guys, not very much of an update, but is there a concern? Yes, there's absolutely a pretty big concern when it comes down to these cornerbacks potentially missing some games in the 2025 season. Let me give a quick shout out here to the sponsors of the AZ Sports Fan here on YouTube. Go ahead and give a shout out to Sleeper. If you use promo code AZSF, they will provide you with a 100% deposit match up to $100 on your initial deposit. You can go on there and play the higher and lower game on there where you can create the best roster you potentially can. And you can get players like Kyler, Marvin Harrison Jr., and put some higher or lowers on their touchdowns, receiving yards, fantasy points. And if you create the best roster you can, you could potentially 100 times your payout. So make sure you check out Sleeper using promo code AZSF. Upon downloading the app, everything will be in the description below. But all right, everybody, let's go and change topics and let's talk about the INT from Kyler Murray, which is unfortunate because Kyler Murray looked pretty solid in week 2 and he gave us the flash that everybody was really excited about, right? That was the 25 plus yard run that he ended up running 50 plus yards scrambling around in terms of not allowing these defensive linemen or just these defensive players for the Carolina Panthers to touch him. And that kind of gave you a spark and a remembrance of what Kyler Murray can bring to this Arizona Cardinals offense. But unfortunately, shortly after that, he ended up throwing a really bad interception. And then after the game, Jonathan Gannon did speak on how he felt about the INT, and this is exactly what he had to say.
The end of the first half and the beginning of the second half, how do you balance that versus the interception?
The interception, he makes that electric play there, you know what I mean? I think he's, I got to talk to him about that. It's just the value of the ball there. That happens, it does happen. I don't know if he's trying to make a play or throw it away there, but we're in field goal range. You'd like to put another 3 on the board there, but I thought, after the first drive or so, I think we got a field goal and then we had to punt. But then I thought he operated really well and kind of were doing what we wanted there. We just didn't have the ball in the second half, So we gotta make sure that we get him the ball.
So there's Jonathan Gannon talking about the play from Kyler Murray. Now, if we can remember this correctly, it was 3rd and 3, and we were within field goal range. And when the ball was snapped, it did look like there was some players open. It almost kind of seemed like there was an out open. I believe it was Greg Dortch, and then there was Trey McBride, which he ended up having to improvise once Kyler Murray rolled out to the left. Now, there has been a lot of opportunity for Kyler Murray to get rid of this ball, especially if he wasn't comfortable getting rid of the ball to, let's say, for example, Greg Dortch. He held onto the ball a little too long, in my personal opinion. And now Jonathan Gannon was also asked on Monday about the INT because he ended up dissecting the film on Monday, and this is exactly what he had to say. Now, originally, Kyler Murray came out and says that he was trying to throw the ball away. I think he held onto the ball a little too long, in my personal opinion. But this is from Theo Mackey. Shout out to him from AZ Central saying this. Gannon said Murray should have taken the sack on this play. Quote, at that point, it's not like we were out of field goal range. Just probably eat that one. That's what Jonathan Gannon, head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, had to say about that specific play. To me, when I really looked at it, I think Kyler Murray had all the time in the world to potentially throw the ball away, especially if he didn't see anybody open on that play. So honestly, when it all comes down to it here, ladies and gentlemen, a play that we need Kyler Murray to learn from. It's just one of those things that we're seeing this every single year, and it's kind of getting to the point that a lot of Arizona Cardinal fans are getting very frustrated with these decisions that he's not really making correct decisions on the fly. I get it. Your mind's going 1,000 miles an hour, right? With you got all these big men coming your way, but you got to be able to play for the field goal, especially if you do not think you're going to get that, right? 3 points is a lot better than turning the ball over, taking away momentum from the Arizona Cardinals, and as you know, we couldn't get 3 points on that drive. And now let's move on over to the Marvin Harrison Jr. topic, shall we? There's been a flurry of a lot of different Cardinal fans coming out and being disgruntled. The fact that Marvin Harrison Jr. has not been given a lot of opportunity during Sundays on this offensive side of the ball. Now, we will be taking a look at the target shares amongst wide receivers in the NFL to get a comparison as to what the Cardinals are doing compared to what the NFL is doing, right? Now, I still personally do not understand why the Arizona Cardinals do not have specific plays designated for their number one wide receiver. Their number one wide receiver is Marvin Harrison Jr. There's no debate about that. And to see Marvin Harrison Jr. after week 2 only having 5 targets, now I get it. There's been 2 balls thrown his way. He did not come down with the ball. But let's be real. There's no wide receiver in the NFL that are catching every single ball thrown their way. Now, it could be a specific game that they are hot and they're catching everything coming their way. But if you really look at the stats, there's a lot of targets to a wide receiver one, and there's a big discrepancy between targets and actual receptions. And we'll be diving into that here a little later on. But I want to go ahead and give you a little insight on what Jonathan Gannon had to say about Marvin Harrison Jr.'s usage in week 2 and week 1 so far of the NFL season. Let's go ahead and bring our attention over to this tweet that I ended up seeing here online. And this is what Gannon had to say on Marvin Harrison Jr.'s usage. Quote, I never really looked at targets as what needs to happen. The ball is going to go where the ball needs to go. With saying that, I know he needs to touch the football for our offense to be at a premium. Now, I'm a little confused with this quote. If I'm going to be real with you, it's almost saying that, yes, we're not worried about the target share when it comes down to your wide receiver number one, but he's also acknowledging that he's one of the best pass catchers we have on this Arizona Cardinals offense. So I do not understand. It almost kind of feels like he's trying to cover up either for Petzing or Kyler Murray to not throw people under the bus, because it's very, very important that the Arizona Cardinals do feed Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, yes, it really depends on if the Cardinals are able to convert third downs to get more plays on the offensive side of the ball. Yes, all that stuff is situated and absolutely correct. But seeing the usage in what the Cardinals are doing to a former 4th overall pick is absolutely unacceptable. It's absolutely unacceptable. Marvin Harrison Jr. should at least have 6, 7, targets a game. And that's a game, right? Like, I don't understand why Drew Petzing and Jonathan Gannon and this Arizona Cardinals organization is comfortable with what is happening. Now, yes, because we're 2-0, a lot of these things aren't going to be talked about very much. But believe it or not, when you're playing good teams that's they're probably going to beat you, this is going to be a bigger talking point. I'm just getting in front of it here. I don't understand how Drew Petzing cannot scheme up a specific play to get this man the ball. Now, we're doing a good job with Trey McBride, but Marvin Harrison Jr., unfortunately, is falling below the wayside. You cannot get a guy with the 4th overall pick and treat him the way that you're treating him. It just absolutely does not make sense, in my personal opinion. Now, let's move on over to the usage, right? We're going to dive into the usage of the stats, right? We're going to put some stats up here on the board to kind of give you a better understanding as to what I'm actually talking about here. Now, Malik Neighbors right now has already been targeted 25 times, which it was the wide receiver that was chosen after Marvin Harrison Jr. to the New York Giants. Now, of course, everybody right now is bringing up the comparisons that Luka Doncic, right, and DeAndre Ayton, if you're an NBA fan. I don't think it's really that situation when it comes down to the Cardinals. It's just Marvin Harrison Jr. is not given this exact treatment that's the New York Giants are giving the treatment to Malik Neighbors. Now, Jackson Smith and Jigba, 23 targets, 17 receptions, right? Look at this. Malik Neighbors has 25 targets, 14 receptions. He's not hitting 25 and 25. No, there is 11 targets there that he hasn't caught in 2 weeks. And then everybody's talking about, oh, well, Marvin Harrison Jr.'s got butterfingers. It doesn't matter. Throw the ball to the best weapon you have. CeeDee Lamb, 24 targets. Puka Nacua, 20 targets. Zay Flowers, 20 targets. This is wide receiver number 1 numbers that you're supposed to be seeing. Jamar Chase, 21 targets, right? 16 receptions. So again, right, there's 5 of those targets going his way that he didn't catch. This is what we're going to have to really realize here, ladies and gentlemen, that we're talking about Marvin Harrison Jr. being all the way down here. This is where Marvin Harrison Jr. is. He's got 11 targets, 7 receptions. So that means 4 balls that came his way he did not catch. This is absolutely insane to me. I don't understand it. Like, he's in the realm of George Pickens. He's in the realm of Kyle Pitts, Romero Doubs, Emeka Ibuka, right? This is a rookie we're talking about, right? Now, granted, He's a really good rookie and is showing out really, really well. But this is where we're at with wide receiver number one. And I don't want to hear the excuse that we're a run heavy offense. We're 12 personnel. We're a heavy package offense. We favor tight ends. I don't want to hear the excuse. We're seeing wide receivers flourish in a run heavy offense. Perfect example, the Chargers, right? We heard that the Chargers want to be a run heavy team. They're getting their wide receivers absolutely involved in this game plan. Like, this is absolutely nuts to me. You got Calvin Austin with 10 targets, 5 receptions, and then we're talking about, oh, well, Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't catch 4 balls. Well, guess what? Guess what? Malik Neighbors didn't catch 11 balls, right? Jackson Smith and Jigba didn't catch 5+ balls, right? And he's still getting the ball fed to him because he is their number one wide receiver. It makes no sense. I'm looking straightly at this coaching staff, including Jonathan Gannon, to get in the ear of Drew Petzing and say, this needs to change. This is absolutely unacceptable. Well, I don't like what I'm seeing here with the usage of the wide receivers. And here's this. It's not just Marvin Harrison Jr. falling victim. It's Michael Wilson. It's Zay Jones. It's Greg Dortch. It's any wide receiver you have on this roster. They're not given an opportunity to make plays on this team because of how this offense looks, unfortunately. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what your overall thoughts here. Are you in the camp of, oh, the Cardinals are 2-0? I don't care. Let me know in the comments below. Or are you with me and saying you got to find a way to be creative enough to get this guy the ball, or you do not deserve to be an offensive coordinator, or you don't deserve to be on a coaching staff because this is arguably your best pass catcher. Now, I know it's Trey McBride, but this is your second best catcher and your best wide receiver on this roster. And if you can't get him the ball, then what the heck are we doing? Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what your overall thoughts here are on this topic. Appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. You guys are all absolutely amazing. Have a great rest of your day. And as always, go Cardinals.